If it is connected, it needs security. Now, whichever way you splice it, the digital paradigm has warranted the need for security on all fronts. It's almost like the two sides of a coin. And with digital transformation having transformed nearly every facet of our life. Now, the importance of ensuring that we are protected in this digital realm has increased significantly. And around the World Wide Web, which connects us, there is a need to ensure that there is a bigger web, and that's of security. Now, to understand how enterprises today are thinking about security and to help us understand how we should approach designing security infrastructure, we are embarking on this multi-part podcast series. And today, in this episode, I have with me Ripu Bajwa, the Director and General Manager for the Data Protection Solutions at Dell Technologies India. Hi, Ripu. Thank you so much for plugging in today.
Hi, Ashwin. Great to hear. Absolutely a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Now, security has always been at the forefront, right, Ripu? But how has digital transformation of the past decade really altered the importance that enterprises and you are placing on security?
Well, let me just start with absolutely agree that security has been one of the topmost priority for all organizations of all sizes, all through. In fact, with more and more of digital transformation, this need has got accelerated. And how organizations today need to also prepare against the new age threats, security has never ever become more important. You can imagine that today when you are actually getting your businesses more connected, more online, and the digital transformation is at the center stage of doing so much, it has also made more and more data available to people. It has also made the attack surface much more prevalent. And the fact that people are now accessing applications on the go from any device, anywhere, and data is moving between endpoints, data centers, and the cloud seamlessly, it is ultra important to have that in a secure way. Data has to be secure at rest and in flight. And more importantly, as we are having devices, for example, accessing personal data, corporate data, securing the data is even more important. More and more digital transformation has shown that security need not be bolt on. It has to be built into the infrastructure, into the secure supply chains of the networks, making sure that everyone understands security, the people, and the right processes to make sure that vulnerabilities across the enterprise or the organization's ecosystem is well taken care of. And we are better prepared to combat the new age threats, especially from the cyber actors and the way they are attacking very sensitive sectors these days. The very nature in which we are seeing cybercrime increase also poses one of the very important areas of security, which is showing recovery. When all the four pillars of NIST framework help us to actually defend, which is identify, protect, detect, and respond, we also need to look at recovery strategies, because it's ultimately not a matter of when, of if, but when you to be compromised. And therefore, it is ultra important that we actually showcase how recoveries are done. And to build that extra level, we need to have our crown jewels secure in an air gap vault scenario where I can be assured of clean recovery and making sure that I'm not vulnerable and helpless when the time of need arises. This is the new way of securing yourself, making sure your recoveries are justified. And with increased digital transformation, increased security threats, you need to prepare for better recoveries and to be able to combat this new age of threat. That said, we always are in the midst of increased digital initiatives across organizations, across many of the government initiatives. This is the time to look at security in a new way, which is intrinsic, which is built into the secure development lifecycle of products, secure supply chain, making sure that you're also looking at less number of vendors when it comes to partnering on the security side, so that it will build trust at every level. This is the modern way of building the security grounds up and making sure your organization is always secure in their digital initiatives. Thank you.
Ripu, I'm going to, take on something you just said, which is security should not be bolt on, but built in.
Yeah.
And it's important, right? Businesses of all sizes and even consumers like myself need to be, cognizant of security and ensure that, measures are putting in. And I want to take you back to your college days when you're probably studying first about security. And, security at that point of time, maybe 2, 3 decades back, was just a firewall. And today, if you have a client who says that I have firewall for security, you'll probably skip a few heartbeats. But a lot of the thinking that I'm reading right now really talks about enterprise risk management, which seems like really a large bracket of a slew of measures that are being deployed. Talk to me about this, Ripu.
See, today's world, we are looking at not just firewalls, they are definitely required, but the way security has now become intrinsic, and the very fact that it has to be a zero trust is being implemented in almost every development that we are doing. We are wanting to verify everything. And just to give you an example, it was very easy for us to actually have different kind of devices, different kind of gadgets. But today, if you have to use them for corporate data and even personal data for that matter, ensuring that your transaction and that fact that you're making a committed transaction is secure from that device is very, very important. In earlier days, we used to build firewalls and ensure that the security at the perimeter is guaranteed. But today, with increased surface and the fact that people are accessing data from all devices, we need to look at intrinsic security, which comes by making sure that your applications are tying down with those policies to the identities, so that then wherever you are, whichever device you are accessing, it is actually doing the verification from the identity level. So it is very much intrinsic. And then you can actually have your corporate data being accessed from any device. Your device management software, automated device management software, is taking care of that. So only and only if the intrinsic security policies are implemented. So that is a big shift which we are seeing in the way security is being deployed, monitored, and the fact that we want corporate data, secure data, to move across seamlessly between what is there within the organization to something which is outside the organization. And that is a major change that is really leading in the way people are thinking about security, building their risk postures, making sure that it is well tuned to the new norms, new standards which are coming into play. The devices are of that standard, as well as making sure that the applications which are running on those devices are also adhering to that standard. So intrinsically building security at the application level, matching it to the identities with the right security policies, that is the truth that we are looking at, and making sure that all the implementations are to that level.
I want to just stay out here on how this can be done in a cohesive manner, right? I really want to help all of the people who are listening to be able to tactically design their focus. Now, there's really no dearth of the number of purveyors of marketing security products out there, and you also spoke about working with a fewer number of vendors. From a Dell perspective, how should businesses approach the task of building, and not just building, right, even maintaining the absolute state of the art security solutions?
Well, Dell is taking a pioneering step. We have the end-to-end solutions when it comes to the infrastructure for not just creating the data, managing the data, storing it, as well as leveraging the insights and bringing those insights to action for the businesses to take, and so that they are competitively ahead. We are having secure development lifecycle in our engineering, where our products are developed, making sure that the entire secure supply chain is maintained when it comes to delivery of our product line at the customer side, so that the vulnerabilities are at the very least. Making sure that the infrastructure layers are protected all the time. Data is securely kept in flight as well as at rest. Wherever in the ecosystem, it could be at the periphery, it could be the endpoints, it could be during the at the network level, it could be at the infrastructure level, like a server or the storage. Making sure that even the backups are protected and air gapped, for assured recoveries and clean recoveries in the event of a sophisticated cyber attack, and guaranteeing that level of assurance to the business that no matter what, they are always having the crown jewels in their own custody. And that's a very big assurance, because that gives them the next level of resilience when it comes to businesses which are running digitally. And therefore, as Dell Technologies, we are taking a pioneering step in that direction to make sure that all technologies that we are supplying are fully secure to the organization's needs.
Thank you for that, Ripu. Now, I know that, later on in our series, we're going to delve a little deeper into that, but I just had to understand what you're thinking about this. Really, the last 2 years has complicated security across all fronts. Earlier businesses were just considering securing, their controlled environment. But now with endpoint being in focus with devices and apps on the go, it's an uncontrolled place. Really, what's the latest thinking around providing a comprehensive security that is focusing largely on endpoint challenges now?
Well, actually, endpoints are the most vulnerable, because from that's where we are seeing most of the attackers come into the networks and the security. They're able to break into the security domains of the organizations and come and reside and dwell in the organization for multiple number of days before they really surface and take you down. And these are new forms of breaches, incidents, or cyber, the way the threat actors come into with various ulterior motives. Sometimes they're looking at ransom. Sometimes it's just a hacktivist, or a nation state play here. And especially in the current scenario, as you can imagine, these are the most talked about as well as high risk potential items at the board level. And to that extent, the starting point for us is to secure the usage of not just the endpoints, but securing the data which is getting created at the endpoint. Endpoint is where we are seeing a lot of action in terms of even compute moving towards the edge, and therefore securing the endpoints are very, very critical. And from there, how the data really moves between various operating environments, could be the distributed core data centers of the organization to the main data centers, to the DR site, even the cloud or the hybrid clouds which they are leveraging. How does the flow of that data move, and who controls and owns that data is very important. And because along with the ownership of the data, the security responsibility comes in as well. And today we are seeing more and more organizations who are into the business of services are also using personal data, which is being used to churn into services. And the responsibility of the personal data also comes on the processor or the aggregator of the data. Going forward, we will be seeing a lot of action happening in terms of securing devices, endpoints, for the simple reason that every user is not fully aware of how securely they need to keep their data, manage their data, and also transact between various entities. That awareness, that accountability is something which is behavioral, and therefore a lot of education is happening in the usage of it could be gadgets for your personal data or gadgets for your corporate transactions. That awareness building, and to make sure that you understand the intricacies of how you share information, what information you're sharing, and the education system has to also evolve in terms of how do we train people to use these endpoints properly. Classic example can be somebody who's not taking care of this can land up inadvertently compromising on some corporate credentials to a third party or to an unknown party who's having malicious intent, and that can cost the organization a pretty sizable impact. And this is something where the gadgets, the endpoints, securing all of that is absolutely key, because through that only you have the start of the malware or any malicious content coming into your main data center. Of course, many organizations are spending a lot in terms of securing their data, which is in the data centers. But today it's all about taking that level of security up to the endpoints, making sure that those security norms are implemented right to the very source of data creation. So that is where we are spending a lot of our research and initiatives in that direction, so that we get that seamlessly for our customers, so that they don't stop or alter their digital initiatives. It is further accelerated. It gives them the competitive advantage, and they are ahead. And in fact, if you really see, most of the organizations which are leveraging all these operating environments are making sure security is paramount. It's not compromised.
Ripu, that was a comprehensive overview of how we should be looking at security, and that's brilliant to hear as we kickstart our series on security in enterprise, from edge security to the very genesis on how enterprises should start approaching security. When you started off by saying, don't just add it on, build it in from the very foundation. It's been a comprehensive overview. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ripu. I'm going to look forward to having you back on our series to help us look at more nuances and more facets that enterprises and businesses should be looking at as they look towards building the best security that they can put together. Thank you so much, Ripu. It's been a delight to have you join us today.
Thank you so much, Ashwin. Really a pleasure.